Welcome to Smashing Hits Podcast. This is episode 6. My name is Zach. I'm here with my wife, Hannah.
Hey.
My best friend, Jake.
How is everybody doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Decent.
I've got to change it up every time we go with this because I got to keep you on your toes.
I mean, it was the same wording. It was just different cadence,
but
right?
you weren't sure.
I wasn't sure.
I was afraid you had messed up.
Speaking of that, I messed up when we first started recording. We were talking about a different podcast, and I said, welcome to, and then I said their podcast, which was not the right thing.
You committed treason on this podcast because now there's a concern flowing and pumping through the veins of mine and Hannah's that you have your mind set on.
We're on edge.
Good.
It's not okay.
It'll be a good, different vibe for this episode. Speaking of which, it's
we have an audience tonight.
It's the first time we've ever had any sort of an audience. That wasn't the audience. That was Hannah.
That was Hannah.
We have a silent audience
Jake's
tonight.
brothers are here.
My little brothers, do you guys have anything you want to add? Come here for just a second. We can take 30 seconds to let you...
we got to be on time, though.
On time. All right, get down here. Dawson, you go first. This is Dawson, my eldest younger brother.
Was I?
Okay.
Great. That's a great preview.
All right. And then we've got Jagger, who all the redheaded girls refer to as Jaggy.
Hola.
That's him. And so it's
He
good
only
to have...
speaks Spanish.
True.
Yeah.
So it's good to have them here tonight, and we're going to the beach tonight. So that's why they're with me.
And there's not a beach in Tennessee.
There is not a beach in Tennessee, so...
You guys have to pack up your bags and leave after we wrap up the podcast tonight.
That's right. So if you hear anything in the background, they're not playing tiddlywinks or anything. They're just hanging out over here on the sofa and probably Snapchatting all the girls. So
All of them.
all of them.
Except Hannah.
Every girl on the planet.
Yeah. So
Except for me, because they're not even allowed to look at me.
so it's good to have you guys here tonight. Thank you for joining us.
For our listeners, when I said that, Zachary looked across at me and absolutely nodded his head.
I didn't mean to if I did.
You did. I said that they're not even allowed to look at me, and you looked me dead in the eye and did one big nod.
It must have been subconsciously.
Disrespectful.
So we want to get rolling tonight. But before we do that, Brandon, we had Brandon on.
Let's talk about
Brandon Drake Nelson.
He is the coolest person I've ever not met in person.
Yes, that's a very strange way to say that, but I agree. Again, if you haven't listened to that podcast, go back and listen to it. It felt like we'd only been talking to him for like 20 minutes, and we looked down, it's 2 hours later. And
He was a real easy, there wasn't any real effort put in, during interview at all.
No.
It was just seamless, and it felt
like we knew him forever.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because, we started talking quickly before we started recording, and just wanted to kind of go over a little bit of, hey, how do you feel about this? What's up? And then
It kind of snowballed.
Yeah, we realized we've been talking for 10 minutes about stuff that could be on the podcast, and we started talking about where he was from and his background and all that. And we were just like, hey, hold on, we got to stop and we need to start recording this because this is what people want to know about. So on that front, again, great that Leroy called. He had a lot of insight on, past seasons and, stuff he's up to now.
Some different things you may or may not have heard about.
Yeah.
Over the years. A
lot of people wanted to know about the stuff with Camilla, and so.
And he was very open with that.
Yeah.
That was cool to hear from him.
We had asked him beforehand, hey, we've had several people ask us to discuss this with you, but we said we don't want to bring it up if you are not comfortable talking about it.
Yeah, we didn't want him to feel like we were trying to get him. Oh, hey, you're on air. You got to talk about this.
And it was cool that he told us, everything is on the table.
He's an open book. So
Up
yeah,
for
again,
grabs.
if you haven't listened to it, it's episode 5.5. We released it that way because we want to keep the numbers going along with the episodes of the current season. So that's why we're going to be like that going forward. So if you haven't listened, go back. Speaking of which, this Thursday, which is we recorded with Brandon last Thursday.
So 2 days from now.
We have Miss Marie Rhoda on the show.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, she was actually supposed to be our first interview. And then
Brandon was so eager that we just were like, hey, let's have you on now.
There was a couple scheduling things, and then Marie knew kind of the episodes that were coming out, and she's like, hey, I'm not really in this next one. What if we moved it? And so it worked out because Brandon was able to kind of leapfrog her. And she's going to record with us, and we have a lot to ask her about, especially this season with
stuff that's going on right now
Yeah.
that we're seeing every Tuesday night.
Yeah, so again, if you guys got any questions, you got about a day and a half to get them in. We've already had a lot of people ask some different things so far.
We're really excited about it. We think that she's pretty excited about it too.
Yeah, she seems to have a pretty good sense of humor about things. Again,
Yeah.
the way we got in touch with her is I made fun of her about her pants tube thing, and she took it very well. And,
Yeah.
So, again, if you got anything that you want to ask her, hit us up, email us, send us something on Twitter, something like that. But the one other thing, shout out Scott Yeager from
Yeah.
Challenge Mania. Someone tweeted to him, I was like, hey, why don't you have Brandon on your show? And he's like, hey, we'd love to, but, in the meantime, go check out Smashing Heads. Like, they just had him on this last week. Didn't have to do that at all, but he was awesome, really cool about it. I've talked with him a little bit about, we had some football things in common. His
Fellow AFC South.
Yeah, we're not really a fan of the Jaguars,
yeah.
but again, we respect some of them, and so
Shout out to him for the shout out.
Yeah, it was really he
essentially.
didn't have to do that.
It
but
was really nice of him.
I was going to give them a shout out on tonight's episode anyway because they are having a killer week. They had Wes on, like either yesterday or today, I can't remember. They're going to do a part 2 with Wes next week, but then Thursday,
later this week,
they're going to have Landon on, which Landon's been laying low for a long time, so that's a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, Landon, Wes back to back like that, that's an insane lineup. So I was going to tell people to listen to it anyway.
Yeah, those are big names, big competitors.
Again, Wes's quote, we listened to part 1 of his today. Me and Hannah did. I don't think Jake has. And his thing was, it's the fact that there's more podcasts and, stuff talking about the challenge. He said, rising tides lift all boats. He's like, it's just good. Like, there's not competition necessarily. And I don't think we occupy the same space as Challenge Mania. I mean, they have someone from the show as a co-host. And, Scott's says he's a comedian and, does seems to be a pretty good personality as far as hosting things.
He's really good.
We are not that. Yeah, that's why Wes agreed to be on the show. He's like, because Scott, he's like, I know you're going to take care of it. And I guess Derek had an old podcast, and Wes referred to it not as nicely. And
so you don't think we're comedians?
Well, we're not.
I think some of us could be.
Again, our perspective is we're a fan podcast. I mean, that's just we had a review on iTunes, very to the point. They are fans that talk about the show and what happened.
I don't know. I think we can be pretty funny from time to time.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's not like our professions. We're not like professional journalists or interviewers or anything.
I wish that was my profession.
We just talk about the show.
Well, we figured out a couple of weeks ago you're a professional jerk for cutting us off all the time. So
that's it.
Yeah.
We're going to bring it up every
Speaking of that,
week.
we got to keep moving.
Speaking of, so let's talk about some of these emails we got real quick.
We got a few this week.
A quick shout out.
Real quick, emails to me, I love them more than anything else. I mean, I love when people reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram and all that. But
emails are more personal.
You can do way more information. We can understand what you're saying a lot better. So I love the email side of it. Go ahead.
So we heard from our guy Raymond, who reached out to us, told us how much he enjoys the show, gave me a cool little NWO reference from my wrestling fandom. You tried to make a comment about the Wolfpack. I was very clear that's two very different things, both NWO, but two very different things. You got Hollywood Hogan,
I know the
big
difference.
sexy Kevin Nash, and I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but I appreciated the reference.
Jake, I don't know what just came out of your mouth.
I know the reference.
Raymond will understand what the deal is. So it was good to hear from Raymond. And then we got email from our guy Paul.
Two emails
we
from Paul.
love
Two emails
Stat
from
Checker
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah, so he's consistent, and I appreciate consistency. And so, he continued to give us some different stats that we seem to get something wrong every week. Listen, the one thing we'll admit to you, along with giving you our hearts, is that we are flawed. We'll never confess to being perfect or perfect, but in our flaws, we accept them.
I don't know what you're doing.
I'm trying to be articulate.
Okay.
He said,
Either way,
you're trying to be like
he
Nelson.
said we'll never
Like
claim
Nelson.
to be perfect or perfect.
That's what I said. And so,
So you just proved your point.
yeah, and so we appreciate Paul continuing to listen, continuing to fill us in, and all that stuff, and
Bring
then,
us the corrections that we need.
Yeah, and then Ilaria, who we really took note of in her email.
I didn't know how to
pointing
say her name, so I asked her. I was like, "Is it Ilaria?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "If it was the correct Italian, yes, but since she lives in the South, no."
So Ilaria.
Yeah.
And so, she pointed out to us the opening was real long. Seems like it took a long time to get to the actual challenge talk, which, you know what? When I read that, I said, I agree.
Yeah, but it was ironic because I was the reason the last episode intro, well, not the last one's Brandon. The last episode before that, the intro took so long is because we were trying to kind of say, hey, this is why we do things, and explaining why I was trying to move the show along instead of telling you guys sometimes, hey, let's talk about that later. It's just ironic that was the one that went the longest because I was trying to say why I stay away from that. But, oh well.
But it was a good point to make because we don't need to ramble for almost 30 minutes on God knows what. And so we're on track this week, I think. And the other thing I wanted to point out comes from an iTunes review where someone mentioned that one of us sounds like George Bush, former President George Bush. I'm not sure if that's George W. or George just plain Bush.
Probably George W.
You think so?
Yeah.
My question is, because I think it's you.
There's no way it's me.
And you think it's me.
Nobody thinks it's me.
No one's going to say Hannah. Here's my reasoning that I absolutely think it's you.
Okay.
Because we've established from the beginning you have the strongest Southern accent out of the three of us.
Right.
A lot of people don't even think that I really have a Southern accent. Now, compared to Marie or someone that lives in Staten Island or whatever, probably. George W. Bush, he's a Texas man. Grew up in the South his whole life.
He lives on a ranch.
Yeah. I just think putting two and two together, it's going to come out that it's you.
So here's what I want to happen because I'm curious about this.
You want to take a poll?
I don't know that we can do a poll. Listen, we're still gaining followers on Twitter. We need to see more traction there and on Instagram. And but I do want to hear from the listeners because I need to know who exactly here at this table sounds like George Bush. So if you could, you guys know our Twitter handles.
Our twiddle handle.
I've got tiddlywinks on the brain.
Good.
And so you guys know our handles. We'll give them out at the end of the show. Yeah. You know our email. We'll give that out at the end of the show. Let us know who sounds most like George Bush. But either way, whoever it is, guy...
Say strategery.
Strategery.
Okay, that was an accent. Say it like you...
Strategery.
Okay. We'll see.
Say it.
Strategery. I said it to you so you would say it.
Strategery.
Okay.
One more time.
Strategery.
All right, so let us know who sounds most like George Bush. But the good thing is that he says that's part of the reason I'm assuming it's a he.
Yeah, we don't know.
He says that's
it was like a screen name, so we don't know.
That is one of the reasons he's sticking around. It's enough of a reason to stick around is because somebody here sounds like George Bush.
It's going to end up being Hannah, and we're all going to look really dumb.
Look, anything is possible. Like the great Kevin Garnett once said. Your guy, Kevin Garnett.
I do like Kevin Garnett a lot.
Anything is possible.
So to our listeners, let me win this.
Real quick, before we jump into tonight's show, huge number for us this week. As of recording right now, the Brandon interview just became our most downloaded podcast. We expected that to happen. We didn't really expect it to happen in like 2.5 days. But it just outpaced everything. The other one that was the contender for some reason was Boys Night.
Whatever.
It is what it is. The people loved it. And so...
Got to give the people what they want, to quote the great Jalen Rose.
Okay.
That's okay. I know for a fact we do have some listeners that listen specifically for me.
Yeah.
And I'm talking
Hannah.
about
They
Wesley.
You're specifically talking about Wesley, even though he doesn't text you. He texts me and Jake every time he listens.
About me. He's my number one fan.
But yeah, anyway, we passed... that became the number one. Also, this week, as of like today, I think we passed 2,000 total downloads. If you would have told us, 6 weeks ago that when we started this, that we'd be hitting these numbers that quick, have our first interview done, second interview lined up, some other things kind of in the works that we're not going to discuss yet, but
it's kind of mind blowing.
It's crazy to us.
It is wild.
And we wouldn't be here without the people that are listening right now. So we want to thank you for sticking with us. And, we'll get better at it as we go along. I definitely think we've improved a lot since
For
the very
sure.
first episode.
Oh, absolutely. I do think it's really neat, and I did try saying this earlier. I'm pretty sure when we recorded this time last week for the show recap last Tuesday that we had, like, the day before crossed 1,000 downloads.
We were, I think, closing in on right over 1,200.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for that week we had just crossed 1,000 downloads,
Yep.
and that was a big deal. And we definitely did not expect to hit 2,000 by this.
We
time
knew
this
Brandon
week.
would jump us up. I mean, people want to hear from him. We've had some other things, Marie retweeting us, and Scott with a shout out. So
It's been
awesome.
It's been awesome,
Yeah.
and believe us when we say we're truly humbled and grateful for all of this, because it's not anything we expected.
yeah, and just so everyone knows, before we get into tonight, Jake will be out of pocket. He'll be recording like he did last week
via satellite.
via the internet. Yeah, and so he won't be in the studio in quotes with me and Hannah because we're just at a kitchen table. It's not really a studio.
It
And
could be.
So we'll be together. Jake will be off on his own like he was for Brandon.
Enjoying the beach.
Yeah, and then Marie will be in, I think, New York. So we'll get that one up as soon as we can. Hoping for a Saturday release. We'll see how that goes. So let's just get into tonight.
Let's do it.
The episode started off with Britni and Brad. I mean, was that the first thing tonight?
Well,
Redemption
it's
House.
Redemption
was
House.
That was
the
okay.
first
That
thing.
was. You're right.
Yeah.
Let's start at the Redemption House. CT with his charts.
His murder detective board.
Yeah, it reminded me. Someone on Reddit already made the joke, and I was really upset because I was going to make that joke. But it reminded me of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when Charlie was like, I know neither one of you guys here watch it, so
I know what
I'm talking
that
to myself.
scene is, though.
Yeah, he's Pepe Sylvia. He's looking for Pepe Sylvia. It's got all the yarn connecting everything, and that's just all I could think of the entire time I was looking at it with CT.
Not familiar with that, but I appreciate the kind of crazy older man turn that CT has taken this season. It's been fun to watch, though he still has his aggressive side hidden deep down. But first time we've ever seen a chart of any sort, I think, and
That I can remember.
It was really funny.
and seemed to be real about it. And the of course, Veronica comes down. What are you doing? He explains to her. Then he asks, "What are you doing?" She says, "I'm going upstairs to rest," and looking like she had just woke up. So,
She did. She
It
was
look-
in
it
like
looked
pajamas.
like it was like 10 a.m.
because who doesn't have to rest after they've slept?
Yeah.
So
Hey, I like a good nap.
there is not many things better than a Sunday afternoon nap in particular. Something
Yeah,
about
it's great.
Sunday afternoons, but
Take one every Sunday.
but not right after you wake up.
No. That's just going back to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
So right after that we got a little glimpse of the Redemption House. We went into what I dubbed Sad Brad.
But there was
Yeah.
a surveillance room again.
Did they do that first? Man, I'm out of order.
It's
No,
okay. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Paul's gonna
They
kill me.
showed the surveillance room after Brad's
Yeah.
Was it?
FaceTime
Yes.
with Britni.
It was after Brad because
Listen.
I have it written down.
My notes are in order.
Yeah,
of the episode.
the viewing room is further down, man.
We finally got
minus
to see,
1 point for you because we're on Pardon the Interruption.
I never claimed to be a genius.
We finally got to see Brad's discussion with Britni.
Yeah,
They had teased it a week before last,
which seems like forever ago.
crazy. And we really expected for that to be the big main focus of last week's episode. And then
Yes.
they didn't even show it until the last 30 seconds. And it was just a teaser, which was really frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to just get it over with. But they wanted to open with that tonight. And I mean,
It didn't pay off anywhere near what I thought it was
No,
going to.
I thought
Because
it
the
would-
other thing is, last week was when the news came out that Britni and Brad weren't together anymore. So I thought they
Yeah.
were finally releasing that information because they were going to break up on the video call. And it ultimately did not happen. He did his, oh my God
Yeah.
thing. And then they started talking, and it was just like, they ended off both saying, I love you and whatever.
yeah.
I think you
mean,
could have overlaid a big
Yeah.
over
Like,
that entire thing
It
because
was a disappointing
they built it for
call.
like 2 weeks, and then it ended up being, who cares?
Nothing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I will say I did take some notes. Her face, seemed like she looked a little bit guilty, even though she did.
She was like, I was just in my bikini.
Yeah, she's like, I was in my bikini one day, and he's like, well, I talked to Jose, and he said more than that happened.
She
he
kind of
said
walked
that,
it back after that.
He told Britni what Jose had told him, and she kind of backtracked, and she was like, oh yeah, I did that, but it wasn't a big deal. Nothing happened. Yeah. And so I think when that happened, Brad knew that she was trying to hide it from him.
She was just like, oh, I was just getting coffee.
She was very defensive. And so I think as an outside viewer, I think this is the tipping point where Brad realizes it's over.
They're just in different phases of their life.
He's like 50 years older than her.
Not quite.
Well, stat checker Paul, you may need to correct
I really
me.
don't know. It probably is 10 years though, right?
I thought it was 20.
All I'm concerned with is, can someone get me a big picture of Brittany's face when she sucks her neck back and when he says, I got to talk. You know what I'm talking about? You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
I know what you're talking about.
I say these things on the podcast and you guys
I'm not
look
looking
at
you
me
like you're crazy. You're just making a lot of hand motions that no one else can see.
Have you ever gone in like a fast food restaurant and asked for a little packet of ketchup and you put your thumb and your pointer finger up like that?
I really
don't. I've never done that in my life.
I've watched people do that.
You're like, I want 1 inch of ketchup.
Yeah, it's I've always enjoyed watching people do that.
I've never seen anybody else do that. I'm thinking, Jake, maybe you do that and you're trying to make us feel like other people do it too.
I mean, maybe we're the weird ones. Maybe we don't do it.
Well, here's what I want. I'm making a picture with my hands. I want to.
It's like Madonna.
Just a shot of Britney's face, less blurred than what the show showed, but that's a funny face.
Yeah, it was weird, and again, that whole conversation just led to nothing. And then we see Brad kind of explaining himself to a kitchen,
room.
and then they kind of start zooming out, and there's like 20 people in the kitchen.
Like, it looked like at first he was talking to maybe 2 or 3 people, like he was
like Cam and Kyle,
like he was explaining his phone call to these people. And then the camera zoomed out, and it was like the whole house was in there. It was a
lot, for sure.
And he was like, I don't know, summarizing his 5-minute phone call FaceTime with them.
He was trying to like defend her, and at the same time be like, it wasn't that big of a deal. He's like, it is what she does. She does sleep like this, and so, if she's just getting coffee, then I can understand that.
But you can tell he was kind of upset by it because, I mean,
sad Brad.
Sad Brad. Yeah. That's the thing. And I mean, I know he probably was not okay with it, with her, doing stuff like that, knowing she's in a house with her ex-boyfriend. Yeah,
there was apparently more to that whole situation. They played the truth or dare with Chuck and Britni and all that.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Apparently Jimmy started out at level 100, and then Chuck was like, not happening, and then she brought it down a little bit, and he's like, still not happening, and then she finally was like, well, just dance in front of him, and he's like, I'll let that happen, and then it started getting weird, and he left, and because again, he's like, I have a girlfriend back home. He's like, I don't want any of this to happen.
He didn't want anything to do with her because he knows that she's crazy.
Yeah, and again, Jose's point was he's trying to do what he can to mend their team, but he did not seem interested in wanting anything to do with her. Again, with her, it seems to me, I'll get your take on it because, female side of things, but it seemed to me she was way more aggressive towards Chuck than vice versa.
I will say, if you and I were just in a serious relationship, if we had just been dating. I
hope we are.
No, I mean, if we weren't married, if we had just been dating for however long Brad and Britni have been dating, and I was sent to live in a house with my partner in the competition, who was my ex-boyfriend of 2 years. If you found out I was running around in a bra and panties, I think you'd be really upset about it.
Yeah.
I think she's right.
I just said yeah. Again, but, they're...
And I mean, that's
moral
not
compass
even,
on the show is not,
But
quite
that's not even counting all the other things that she did.
Yeah, again, I don't want to stick on them too much because neither one of them are even on the show anymore, other than the FaceTime call.
Yeah.
Oh, but her personality still lingers.
Well, it's like a ghost,
right?
On the episode where it opens and it gives you like a little recap of last week's episode. It showed Tori talking to maybe Bananas.
Yeah, it was Bananas. And
she's like, Britni, which is what their relationship is called, Brad and Britni. They've called it Britni. Yeah, and she's like, she's just as disgusting as it sounds. And I was like, you know what, you're right. Like, maybe she said the relationship was just as disgusting, but I mean, it was not a match made in heaven. They're not a good pair. It's just a weird rebound thing for Brad.
Yeah, I agree. And again, they're not together anymore. So,
and I think we talked about this last week. Zach said that this was kind of like a midlife crisis where he felt like he was going to regret it. Mm-hmm. I think sad Brad is regretting it now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's for sure. The next quick thing before we really get into the Redemption House was the whole hen house analogy that Sylvia used. Their room is just like a revolving door. There's just in and out bunks, people hooking up and doing unspeakable things and keeping people awake all night.
I did notice Joss was coming in there to see Amanda. Mm-hmm. This whole time I thought that they had just had the one kiss on the first night and that was it.
I think that they just haven't been, again, there's so many people and so many things happening.
They just haven't had any camera time.
Yeah. Again, everyone's still focused on Cara and Kyle, which again, we'll get into because we have to.
Let me say this real quick on Joss and Amanda. Mm-hmm. Very much so reminded me of Holly Flax and Michael Scott. When they were doing, you're shaking your head. Listen,
here it is.
I'm trying to see that
because I'm going to say it, and you're going to see it.
Okay.
I'm going to say it. You're going to see it. Here we go.
Say it.
So, do you remember all the physical contact that Michael and Holly had on The Office?
Yeah,
like everybody was complaining, like you guys have to stop touching each other. Like they would sit in the same chair. Her legs would kind of be intertwined with the legs of the chair, and he would be sitting in front of her. Okay, so when Sylvia comes out to read the text about the daily challenge, Amanda is on top of Josh's
like
shoulders,
sitting on the back of a couch,
and they're just like they're rubbing each other, and I'm like, that looks like Michael and Holly.
I never would have put that together.
I did.
I saw it. I
didn't notice it.
Do you see it now? Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah, but I didn't see what you're talking about.
You didn't start with Michael Scott. You started with Holly, and I was like, who on this show is Holly?
Holly Flax and Michael Scott.
I know, but when he's like, it reminds me of Holly, and I just was trying to run through the list of challengers. Like, who is Holly? I don't even remember who that is.
Well, here's what it is. I deem right now, at this very moment, Josh and Amanda the Holly Flax, Michael Scott pairing of the challenge.
Okay.
Of the challenge of all time?
Right now, at this very moment, that's what they are.
Huh. So you think that they're soulmates?
Ooh, they did move with each other.
Because I would have said...
Is he going to move from the UK to wherever she's from?
Well, I think we need to keep tabs on that.
Okay.
This could be a big moment.
Okay.
So... Oh yeah, in the middle of all this, they show Cara getting like really upset with like Faith and getting mad at her because they played that the drinking
Never
game.
Have I Ever.
Yeah, sorry, and
it comes out.
Everybody
already knew.
Yeah, one, it wasn't a secret. Two, Cara has been parading around the whole time, like in front of Kyle, trying to like make him jealous. And it's just like, I don't want to talk about this anymore, but we're going to have to. And then we get into it more and more as we go on.
I'm so tired of it.
Let's skip over that for now. Let's get to the Redemption House.
Boy, do I have a take for you guys.
So TJ shows up, and he is taking, who is it? Pauly and Natalie and CT and Veronica. That's all that's in there, right? It's just those four.
Is that it? Yeah, that is it.
Yeah,
so far.
So he takes them to the surveillance room. And I noticed by Natalie's face walking in there, this is the first time any of those people have been in there.
They haven't said a word about it in a month. Like, literally, It's been a month.
Yeah. But yeah, Natalie looked really like shocked, like, oh, what is this? And so that's when it clicked for me. Maybe none of these four people have ever been in here before.
Do you really think that there's a room in that house? Again, there's no internet. There's no phones. Do you think there's a room in that house that they haven't been like, what's this room
Unless it's locked.
It might be.
Because they only go in there when TJ comes in.
It might be, but I mean, they've got to know, like, hey, this weird room is over here and it's locked off from us. Everything else is open.
I mean,
I think there's some tricks.
Well, and CT seems like the guy that would be scheming a way to get in with his board, his chart.
Charts.
Maybe he is, and it's just off camera.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Maybe we can ask Marie. Maybe she knows.
That's a good one.
I will say the one thing about their surveillance room, we've only seen it twice so far in this season. What I don't understand is what purpose it really serves, because the 2 times that they've taken groups in there, the first time was just to show everybody the fight between Melissa and Kayla and them, I guess, being sent home. I guess the Redemption House didn't know that they got sent home, but they saw the fight and that's all they got to see. This time the group sees the quote unquote hen house. Yeah. And that's it.
I think the point of it is to catch up the Redemption House on the drama in the house. I think that's its own its only purpose. It's to say, like, hey, this is the crap that's going on while you guys are not here.
Yeah, because they specifically pinpointed Johnny and Angela for Natalie's sake.
Yeah, again, it's just trying to get in, to ruffle some feathers.
And then Faith and Kyle to get at Paulie, and then what are you going to show?
I mean, I kind of get it, but it's almost a little disappointing that that's the only purpose it serves.
I mean, who knows?
We may see more in the future.
We may see more down the road. They've introduced so many concepts in this season that, again,
it's almost a little bit overwhelming.
Your brother said this was the only one they've watched, and I was like, this is a horrible season to jump in not knowing anything, because there's a million things happening at once, and it takes 3 weeks to get back around to something.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now, but you guys are enjoying it, right? Yes. Yeah.
They said no. So, yeah, again, the Redemption House, we'll see if that comes to anything. They did the viewing room. The funny thing about it is, they're showing CT kind of looking over at Paulie and Natalie, and CT was using that as a real teachable dad moment. He's like,
yeah, it's like a parent to a kid.
He's like, now Paulie, he's like, now this is why you shouldn't have got involved with the Kyle stuff. He's like, because you see what's happening now.
And then Natalie agrees, and she's like, yeah, I wish we had just stayed out of it. And he's like, exactly.
Even Paulie was like, I shouldn't have done it.
If you're gonna mimic CT, put some scruff in your voice.
I can't do the Boston accent.
What do you guys think?
That wasn't deep enough.
All right, okay. I gave it an effort though, right?
An A for effort.
B for effort.
So yeah, again, I thought that was funny. He's got the dad bod now. He's doing the dad moments, and so
I forget how thick he looks. Just his arms and his hands.
He's just meaty.
Yeah,
he's got a lot to him.
He's a big boy. I did make a note back at the main house. Right before their daily challenge, somebody gets to read the clue from TJ.
Yeah.
So Sylvia walks in. She's like, hey, guys, I have a clue from TJ. And somebody throws a pillow at her.
Probably Johnny.
She laughs. And so I think I wrote down Sylvia laughed. And this should be showing Angela that's how you react to things in the house.
Again, Angela's coming from
you
Bad
don't
Girls
break
Club.
Down and cry.
You were really put off by Angela.
I do not like Angela.
I'm just indifferent about her at this point. I don't dislike her. They do pretty good on
the
two challenges we've seen.
She is my new personal villain.
Really?
No. Vendetta.
Use the right colloquial terms.
That's right. If we're going to talk challenge, you have to use the proper vocabulary.
I have a problem with Angela.
It's good.
I don't. I mean, I don't like her, but I don't hate her.
I do not like her at all.
Who's yours? I know who mine is.
Paulie.
I just don't like Paulie.
Yeah. Paulie.
I don't like Paulie, but I don't get the weird gut feeling of dislike when I see Paulie that I get when I see Angela.
There was Jose for me, but there's not anything I can...
He hasn't done anything.
Really
I don't get what you see.
I watched
we do need to go back and watch that because Wes kind of talked about that on the Challenge Mania today. He's like, I get along with everybody. He's like, except for he really went after Drake Bell.
Was it Drake?
Yeah,
it's Drake Bell. He called him Drake and Josh.
That wasn't shown really on the show.
He said he's friends with everyone else from that show. He's like, except for... And
he said, except for that psychopath.
Well, he used some choice words for him.
But he did call him a psychopath.
Yeah. Again, we haven't seen that. That made me like, hey, we need to go back and watch this.
But for me, it rang a bell because this has nothing to do with the challenge. A few years ago, Josh got married, and Drake did not get invited, and he blasted all over Twitter. It was like a huge blow up.
Do you want to do a Drake and Josh podcast?
You know what?
We should.
That's not a bad idea.
That was my favorite show.
I feel like there's enough of a following there. That's right.
People love Drake and Josh.
Yeah.
I did. Okay, so I did used to watch all the like Dan Schneider ones, which apparently he's a really big pedophile, so that was not a good thing. But I grew up on him, man. Kenan Kel, all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All that stuff, man.
But anyway, back to the thing. So that happened. I mean, it was recently enough that when Wes said that, I was like, I believe it.
Yeah, Wes basically said he was friends with everyone because Derek was like, you have this thing where you're not friends with anyone, nobody likes you. He's like, I'm friends with everyone. He's like, especially all the celebrities.
Yeah.
But he's like, except for that, and use some, again,
that
terms.
person.
Yeah.
That person, Drake.
Drake Bell. He's like, which nobody liked. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Except for Kayla.
Speaking of Kayla, I almost said this earlier. I want real quick.
Here we go.
I don't know if you know this. Lindsay Lohan is getting her own reality show.
All right.
Is it on MTV?
I think it's on MTV.
Have you seen the trailer for it?
No.
It's not. It's very
Oh,
strange.
Jake, you need to see
Are
it.
you pulling it up right now?
No.
Okay.
It's kind of sad looking. She just, you can be like, oh man, you've aged a lot from your lifestyle.
Yeah, it was sad.
Again, Mean Girls, Lindsay Lohan,
Gone.
that's peak of the game.
But after the movie,
Yeah.
it was like
So-
not even downhill. It was like falling off a cliff.
So yeah. So anyway, the thing is, apparently Kayla is part of her new show. Don't know how.
What connections there are there.
And since that's kind of leaked out there, everyone is saying Kayla has removed anything about the challenge in her bios on Twitter and Instagram and all that. Now it just says MTV. A lot of people think she's not coming back. We'll see. A lot of fans don't like her. She may not want to deal with that negativity anymore.
Well,
I don't know why she thinks getting on Lindsay Lohan's reality show is going to make things better.
I think she just wants to be on TV.
I do too, absolutely.
But again, we'll see what that comes to. I know she does have a group of her own fans, but yeah, apparently that's a thing. So I didn't want to really derail that, but since she got brought up twice and I didn't say it the first time, let's get into the challenge tonight.
let's do it.
The daily challenge.
The daily. It was a pretty good one.
Off the rails.
It was off the rails on the train.
It looked hard.
Yeah, again, I told you guys, I think Tony or someone like that said it was probably the toughest daily challenge they've ever done, other than maybe the semi-truck one last year.
Which the semi-truck challenge was also very difficult.
Yeah, and so...
I didn't think it would get harder than that. But, yeah, tonight's daily challenge, I mean, there's no way I could have done that.
Well, yeah, let's start from the beginning. So Kyle and Brad have the decision they have an advantage because they won the last one.
They get like, what did TJ call it? A grenade?
It wasn't a grenade, but it was like they get a severe advantage. It essentially was, but they're not calling it that this season. He brings up that they can do that. They try to strategize. I think they initially talked about taking it from maybe like Tony and Bananas, but they ended up just going,
Shane and Nelson.
Shane and Nelson were thrown out, and there was one more.
They ended up just going Kyle's route, like, hey, let's get rid of.
They were talking about Shane and Nelson. You're like, yeah, maybe. And then Kyle goes, what about Cara?
Yeah.
And then Brad's like, okay.
Who has, again, she's been causing a lot of problems in the house. Kyle has too, but again, I don't have a problem with it. And so they do it. It was Bananas and Tony going the same time as Cara and Marie.
And they went first.
So they're going, make it past the first part, then they get to the second part, and where Cara and Marie would have had that first lifeline is where they fall. Initially, I was like, a lot of people are going to get mad at Marie because she fell. But then we go watch everyone else, and
most of the other challengers did not even make it past the first
they did better than probably 80% of the people that tried it.
Yeah.
And they went first.
And they had a disadvantage.
Yeah. And so, again, a lot of people hate on Marie. They had the whole thing brought up where she was like...
where she's like, go ahead, tweet away. And it showed all the tweets behind her of people like hating on her.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
I did see one tweet. We didn't pause it or anything tonight. Just watched it as it went. And I did see one tweet behind her that said, will she ever win?
Oh, I didn't see that.
And I was like, oh, that's harsh.
Yeah, again, we'll talk with her about it. She seems to know kind of her stance with fans and whatever, but I really think the like tide is turning.
Yeah, absolutely.
For her, other than the people who are just kind of like blinded by Cara.
I mean, I think Marie has done better this season so far in the challenges that we've seen.
To be fair, we haven't seen a lot.
We haven't seen very much, but she did exceptionally well today.
Yeah, they were fine.
And I was pretty impressed.
So, what's up?
I'm gonna continue to throw out a little tease. We're not there yet.
Okay.
But I got something pretty powerful to say.
Didn't you say you had some revelation for the Redemption House?
You said revelation, then you said revolution.
I couldn't
Which
figure
is
out
it?
if revelational or revolutional was the proper way to use said word for what I was trying to say. Either way, I got something big to say.
I mean, are you going to tell us?
It's coming up.
I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. It's like that cut before we go to commercial. But we don't have any ads or commercials or anything.
Yet.
So
no.
This is just my
Speaking
way
of which, if you are a company looking to sponsor or have ads, come on.
Just come on. Yeah. So we'll get to your revelation when I guess time comes.
We'll get to it.
Revolution, and so yeah, we see some other teams go. Tori and Derek.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
They're the first team I think to go side by side instead of front and back.
where they're like kind of balancing each other's weight. Which I mean,
they're probably close.
Yeah, Tori's got some muscle on her, and Derek. I mean,
I think
he's not much bigger than her, like height wise. I think because she's pretty tall.
Yeah, I will say I think Zach and Amanda, didn't they go the same route side by side, but it worked for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, Derek sucked right away.
Well, he had this whole, the interview where he's like, "Oh, this is a cakewalk. This is going to be so easy. I'm going to show up and show out." I mean, he had
immediately when they showed that, I was like, he's going to be awful.
And the first two steps he takes, he falls, and I'm like, of course. And it's not even fair to Tori because she's a great competitor, and they've been like bottom 3 throughout this whole season.
He specifically, because I made it a point to note this, said, "I'm a very athletic person. Yeah. This is going to be a cakewalk." Yeah, and then, like you pointed out, Hannah gone immediately.
As soon as they showed that like little confessional where he was saying that, I was like, "There's only two options. He's either going to suck or he's going to kill it." And I was like, given his past, he's going to suck.
Yeah. It was like 75-25.
It was reminiscent of Tyree before him and Davis make that jump when they're jumping the things. Yeah. He's like, "We're going to clear this."
And then they cleared like 3.
3. They cleared the least amount. And
3 out of 12.
Derek's got a real problem on his hands, man. He's pretty delusional.
I'd say Tori has a real problem on her hands.
Yeah, Tori's the one that has the problem.
I worry more about the guy that thinks of himself a certain way and it's not even close. And
he's just delusional.
I mean, it's okay to have some confidence in yourself, but if it goes on this long and you suck that bad, you need to tone it down.
He has not done anything of relevancy
or any significance.
The reason, again, I don't want to be mean because at this point, who knows who will come on the show down the road, but genuinely, he's only around because his girlfriend broke up with him after they made a big deal about it. I mean, I think
absolutely
because Tori turned and her and Jordan got together. That's why her and Derek are partners right now.
Yeah,
because he was not good on that season either.
No.
And
he went home pretty early.
Yeah, and so like legitimately the only reason he's on this show anymore is because of Tori.
Yeah.
And then
I do think it's funny that right before they did the challenge that she said something about wanting him to unblock her from Instagram.
Yeah.
And it was like a big deal to her. I couldn't tell. I think she was maybe half joking, but also kind of half serious. And he was just, not having it.
I think she's just trying to make the best of a really bad situation.
She knows
she's doing everything she can to try to make them work better as a team. But I mean, he's got popcorn muscles.
Again,
he can't perform.
He's currently, maybe he'll turn around and be great down the road. Currently, he's not good.
And let's be clear,
it's frustrating.
We're not attacking the guy's character.
Yeah, he may be a great guy.
He may be one of the greatest individuals to ever walk this earth.
He's not good at the challenge.
He is not good. Like you said, I'm repeating it.
Say it back to me.
He is not good at this challenge.
That's not what I said.
He said at the challenge.
At the challenge. At any challenge.
We just can't get anything
You need to get the quotes right.
All right, George, get your act together over there.
I did make another note. After it comes out, Kyle announces that they're going to take a jab at Cara and Marie. Mm-hmm. Right before Marie and Cara go up to do the challenge, Marie turns to Cara. Cara's just visibly upset. She keeps going on and on about, "I can't believe he did that." And Marie looks at her and she goes, she tells Cara not to cause drama.
And she goes, girl power.
I put in parentheses, LOL.
It's, again, Marie's the voice of reason on this team. Cara, again, we talked about it privately before we started recording. Cara's 32. She's older than every one of us here.
She's too old to be acting like this.
Yes, and she, like, again, I always say we
got to hold off the big stuff,
okay.
the big car stuff.
So, okay, real quick. Zach and Amanda killed it. Josh Sylvia killed it.
Yeah.
Now, clearly, we saw Zach and Amanda won.
Tony killed
Johnny
it.
Tony did, but out of those two, they were going at the same time. And when TJ was about to announce who won, I yelled to the room, it's going to be Zach and Amanda, because I thought it was.
Faith and Angela continue to perform, though they didn't get through the second part. They continue to perform pretty well.
They're a team that's kind of flying under the radar. I think she's the vet of the group.
That's right. As she made clear tonight, she made clear to everyone in the room and everyone watching.
Real vet.
She is the real veteran.
And that was from when Cara was trying to talk to Faith. Yeah. Faith had actually come in Cara's room and was trying to talk to her, and Cara's trying to explain to her, hey, I don't have anything against you. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at Kyle. And I was like, it's really nice that Cara is not taking it out on Faith. She is just...
She is. It's passive aggressive.
Yeah, but still, Cara called Faith a rookie. Yeah. Like in the show, and Faith got all upset, saying she's the real vet. She's no rookie. And I was like, yes, she's a United States.
I think she was playing on the phrase
military
honestly.
Veteran. I fully support that. I show nothing but respect for that. She's a great competitor, but she's a rookie in this season.
Yeah, but
she's a rookie in the show. She doesn't know how it goes. I mean, maybe she's watched it before, but she's never actually been in it. So you have to earn your stripes. You are a rookie. And so it just bothered me that she had a problem being called a rookie. She had no place to get upset about that. And I like Faith as a competitor. I do. But, I mean, that did bother me that she went on a tangent about that.
Here's my thing about it. At this point, anything that comes out of Cara's mouth, I take with, like, the biggest grain of salt possible. Because she is so, like, woe is me. I haven't done anything wrong. I can't believe people are treating me like this. When she's throwing
a self-pity party.
Yeah, and she's been flaunting with Pauly in front of Kyle and, like, doing all the same stuff. I wrote 2 different times, basically, Cara is a hypocrite.
Yeah, she's getting on my nerves.
Yeah, and so...
I'm not saying anything yet.
Okay.
I'm not saying it
So,
yet.
anyway, Zach and Amanda won. They get the power vote. We'll get into voting, but let's... Before the voting was the Cara and Kyle situation where they show them and they're, like, being all weird, flirty, where they're, like, you know, in each other's faces, and then they're like, I still care for you and whatever. And then Cara gets in his lap, which the best moment of the episode to me is when they pan to Marie just like looking disgusted, and she's just like, why are you in his lap? I was like, get out of there.
Well, right before Cara crawled in Kyle's lap, she told him that she's trying to be a role model. Yeah. In quotes, she said, for little girls. And I wrote a side note, what little girls watch this adult show?
That's when I wrote that she's a hypocrite. I was like, if you're trying to be a role model for, I guess there are, but what girls watch this show, I was like, you're showing them that
the opposite of how to act to
regardless
about stuff like this.
Regardless of what you think of her relationship status, just the way she's acting, she's saying one thing and acting like, hey, anybody can do whatever they want. That's been her whole philosophy this whole season. Everyone's free to do whatever they want. No one can get mad. And then if anyone does anything that might hurt her feelings, she's like, it hurts my feelings. I can't believe you do that.
And that goes back to the conversation she was having with Faith. Faith called her out on it. She's like, because Cara's like, Faith, you're a single woman. And then Faith goes, and Kyle is single and you're single. Yeah. And Cara's like, yeah, but, and Faith was like, I just proved my point.
Yeah. And she was right. That's why, like that whole time, again, you said you didn't agree with what Faith was saying, and I was like, I don't agree with what Cara's saying during that.
No, I didn't agree what Faith was saying about about not being a rookie. Everything else she said, she was right about.
That was in the confessional, and I think more than anything, that was her just playing on the words.
I mean, I get it, but still, she's a rookie. She needs to accept it.
You don't say that to her face. Never. Don't you say that about Faith. She's a veteran.
You salute her?
Salute.
I'll salute her and tell her she's a rookie on the show.
You better not.
Matter of fact,
It's like the whole Britni thing. Britni came in on her second season after competing in maybe 3 daily challenges. Stat checker Paul, you may need to check me on that. I can't remember.
He will.
I can't remember how many challenges she actually got through, but she didn't last very long.
These last 3 seasons have all like ran together.
Yes. I can't recall it because it's all like one big season. But she came back last season and she's like, I'm not a rookie anymore. I'm a veteran. And everybody's like, no, you're not. You're not a veteran.
What's her catchphrase?
girl.
There it is.
Yeah.
Boy.
So annoying.
But I think after the disrespect you just showed Faith, I think you should wear an American flag downstairs next week as we watch the show.
But don't let it touch the ground.
Never let it touch the ground. Actually, you're not supposed to wear the American flag ever.
That is true.
Yeah, that's like a whole thing. You're never supposed to put it on your clothing.
If you're following the letter of the law.
Yeah.
Here's what we'll do is we'll put up some scaffolding downstairs.
There's not enough room.
And just have it set as a backdrop as we watch the show.
Okay.
Listen, you can build stuff. You're good with your hands.
Scaffolding.
You got those jazz hands over there.
Yeah. Those jazz hands that build things.
But back to Marie catching them. It was a hilarious face that she made. But I did make another part. I did make another note. She's been like the voice of reason for this whole season so far.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
She went from throwing pizzas in people's beds to being the voice of reason.
We'll ask you about that.
And I'll say this: Can we get a meme is created off everything now? Can we get a Marie get off his lap meme created ASAP?
I'm sure there's probably already some circulating.
Like when that clip went up this week, people already started making GIFs or GIFs or whatever.
What smart people we have.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think
I love the internet.
But yeah, they already. I retweeted it when I saw it because I was like, "This is perfect." Because it's just that slow zoom into her face when she's watching them.
Absolutely hilarious. That was the highlight of the whole episode.
All right, so let's move into voting because we're gonna run long again.
Voting, I feel like everybody was all over the place.
Everyone had the same idea to me.
After finding out for the last elimination that the person that gets the most votes to go in gets to see everybody that voted for them.
And they get to call them out.
Everybody was running around like chickens with their heads cut off.
Literally, I think everyone except for Zach and Amanda, they were like, oh, we should do a burn vote. We should vote somebody.
I wrote down all the teams that walked in there and said, let's just do a burn vote.
Yeah.
Bananas and Tony.
Yeah.
Kyle and Brad. Cam and Kaylee. And I think Sylvia and Joss did the same.
Probably.
Those are the ones that...
And then some of them they didn't show.
Yeah, they didn't show everybody, but those are the ones that they showed saying, let's just do a burn vote. And so for me, I'm eagerly anticipating next week's episode to see if everybody did a burn vote for the same person.
That's what's going to be funny. Then that's what's going to catch people off guard at some point. Even if it's not this next elimination, everyone's going to start doing burn votes because they don't want to go in. And then there's no choice. You have to vote for someone, and you're going to get called out. And so the only one that blatantly didn't was Cara and Marie.
Yeah.
And
Faith and Angela went after Derek and Tori, and then vice versa.
Well, I'm saying that was right.
Yeah, but Tori had talked with Cara and Maria saying she wanted them to vote for Faith and Angela because they were rookies. I forgot about that. And Cara was like, yeah, okay. And then they get in there.
She got in her feelings.
And Marie and Cara are talking about it. They're like, yeah. And then Marie's like, well, let's just see who else there is. We'll try to figure it out. And then the very next faces they see are Brad and Kyle's. And Cara, like, almost starts crying. She gets really upset, and she's like, I just want to punch his face just looking at it. Yeah. And so then she's like, well, let's vote.
32.
Let's vote for them. And Marie's like, you want to vote for them? And Carla's like, yeah. And they're like, okay.
But Marie wasn't part of that conversation with Zach and Tori about voting them. I mean, she may have been, but she wasn't in what we saw.
Well, Cara said she'd have to talk to Marie about it. But I think it was funny that it showed them blatantly saying, okay, let's vote for Kyle and Brad. And
then Tori was like, she screwed us.
Yeah, Tori is obviously upset. But also, with all these other people doing just burn votes, saying, let's just pick somebody off the wall, I think it'd be really funny if everybody voted Brad and Kyle. Thinking it was a burn vote.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I think, but again, you saw Shane and... no, not Shane. You saw it was Jose and some of the other ones trying to like do the math to figure out who voted for who. And then the end of the episode,
all the math is going to be wrong because everybody did a burn vote.
Yeah, again, nobody knows really. Because, again, you can just lie about it. You can say, we voted for this person. You may not have. The funny thing was it came out that Cara voted for Kyle. I don't remember how it even came out.
She was talking about it with Tori.
That's right. And Kyle was
Tori
listening through the door.
These people got to do better of being secretive. I feel like
either that or they're like playing it up.
Maybe. I mean, do you think the producer's sitting back, hey, Kyle?
They may have been like, hey, they're talking about you right now. Do you want to go listen? It makes better TV.
That's dirty.
It could be like that.
Yeah. But he heard it. I will say, just on that, Kyle and Brad took this weird stance of, you're taking money. Kyle was like...
Well, he said...
Kyle was upset about it.
He was.
Kyle confirmed that Brad doesn't have a job.
He's like, he's got 2 kids. He doesn't have a job. What are you doing?
Yeah,
and Kyle's like, you're taking money out of my kid's mouth, which doesn't make sense, but I may have made that part up.
What?
He meant to say, I may have meant to say, he's like, you're taking money out of my kids'
pockets.
Whatever. Yeah. Or
wait, Brad,
food out of their mouths?
No, Brad said it.
You said initially Kyle said it.
Kyle said the first part.
This is the kind of stuff that Paul calls you out on.
Paul doesn't call me out. He calls you out.
We'll see if he calls you out this week.
We'll
Paul,
see.
George. We'll be waiting for your email with your corrections for us. Because we're just really all over the place right now.
Well, I think it was a pretty good episode. I wish we would have saw an elimination, honestly.
Or at least, I wish we could have seen who got voted in.
Yeah. Which, again, they're going to tease that for next week, which we better have a freaking elimination next week. It looks like we're going to have 2 eliminations next week because they teased Hunter and Ashley.
Yeah, for my notes for next week, it says 2 eliminations, and Ashley and Hunter are the first mercenaries.
Yeah, I jumped ahead a little bit. I meant to talk about, it was really funny when Banana and Tony were in the bushes watching the whole thing with Kyle.
I made a note. Kyle says on national TV that Brad has 2 kids and no job.
Yeah.
But also, Johnny and Tony are in the background of both fights, looking very well entertained.
And the next fight was
between Shane and Davon.
And Shane, I don't know, Shane just...
They those 2 teams voted each other in.
I guess, but
something.
Shane always likes to get in the middle of things, but he almost overly aggressively went after Davon, and he starts calling her a word that in Johnny's phrasing he's like, not the most feminist word, and Shane claims he's a feminist.
Well, to quote Zach, not you.
Okay.
The competitor, challenger.
Zach Nichols.
I'm a competitor.
Is that his last name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe some relation to
I would know.
Josh Nichols of Drake and Josh.
Maybe.
He says Shane uses rumors as currency.
Yeah, it made me think of Bitcoin.
So it's, Shane sets himself apart. I'm a big fan of people that set themselves apart.
He does.
In that he's very calculated in everything he does.
I will say to an extent, yes, but I also think he gets caught up in it, and he gets in the moment a little bit. Like, again, tonight you saw he was just going after her.
He let a little too loose tonight with his fight with Davon.
Again, Jose being the voice of reason, trying to get between them.
Right. Also,
Jake, I kind of like Jose so far.
I'll listen.
I don't know what your problem is.
I've come around on Jose. I think people can change, and a lot can happen in the span of a few months, and maybe
it could be that he watched Champs vs. Stars and saw how he behaved.
It also could be that wasn't his money he was playing for, and now he's playing for his own self. And because the last one was for charity.
That's right.
You know what? Let's just give it up for Jose real quick for making a change. Over there, boys. That's what I'm talking about. We also came to the realization. That's why we have an audience tonight. Yeah, we also came to the realization that Angela deems Johnny her baby daddy.
Yeah.
Don't know if that's the case now.
Again, CT's whole perspective of it is they're just using each other. I think that's...
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Absolutely. I think Johnny's a little bit lonely. Last season it came out that he had just ended his relationship with this girlfriend he had been with for 5 years.
Was it that long?
Yeah, it was 5 years. And when that happened, I was like, you know what? I feel like I haven't ever seen Johnny try to get involved with anybody on this show. And so seeing him...
Him and Angela are still together. But him and Natalie apparently were too, but who knows?
Who knows?
Who cares?
Anything.
So, yeah, we saw the preview for next week. That's when our first glimpse of the mercenaries are going to happen. And it says 2 eliminations. Now, what we don't know is if those 2 eliminations mean that the mercenaries take their spots.
I think that's what's going to happen.
I hope so, because that would get... we know Devin's coming. Devin's a guy we all like. He's kind of single-handedly turned me over on the Are You the One cast because
I love Devin.
Yeah, Devin's great. He's like Wes's protege. And,
yeah.
Again,
out of the Are You the One people,
he's my favorite.
I love Devin. I actually liked Cheyenne too. I still follow her on Instagram.
Yeah, she's fine. She's not. She probably will not come back.
No, she's doing her own thing. She and her and Corey's baby. The two of them are baby Gap models, and so she's wholeheartedly in on her daughter, which I would be too. They've got the cutest baby I've ever seen in my life.
That's what people were going after Davon about, because she just does all these shows and leaves her daughter at home.
Oh,
that's heavy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's a little harsh.
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember who was talking about it, but she gets hit about that a lot.
You think it was Shane?
Probably. I don't know.
Huh. Okay.
But yeah, I mean.
But Devin's great. I'm very excited to see him come in.
It'll be interesting if the way it works, if, Hunter and Ashley, if they win, do they get to be a team and take someone's place? Because they kind of hooked up at one point, but they don't like each other now, so they could be a team.
Yeah, they got in a fight. I don't remember what. I remember her being drunk and getting mad at him, and he didn't really understand why she was losing her mind, and then he called her crazy.
Yeah, we'll need to see how it works, because we don't know if, one, they get to come back, two, if they're a team, so if they both have to, again, we just don't know at this point.
Well, was it last season that they brought in the mercenaries for the first time? Stat checker Paul, you may need to correct me on this.
Again, these last 3 seasons are right. I think so.
I believe last season was when they introduced mercenaries. But what I didn't get was mercenaries came in for elimination, and it was just for the sake of the win. They didn't get anything out of it.
Because Tori was one, so it was last season.
Yeah, they didn't get anything out of it. It was just the fact that they were taking somebody out.
Well, I think they got money.
I know, but it couldn't have been much, because it was 4 mercenaries, and out of the 4, only one person won. And
is that it?
Yeah, it was only one, and so I was like, I'm not surprised, because they weren't really competing for anything, and so I really think that for this season, since the last time it didn't really go over very well, I think they're going to bring in the mercenaries and give them something to actually compete for, which would be a spot in the show.
Mercenaries or some form of that have been used in Cutthroat, Battle of the Bloodlines, Vendettas, and Final Reckoning.
Yeah, so not Dirty 30.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, because on Cutthroat was when CT and Tina came in, the backpack.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't know if they called them that back then.
Right, but they played that sort of role.
Yeah, it was that role, like, hey, you're going against Godzilla, essentially.
But for this 3-part, three-chapter book of Dirty 30, Vendettas, and Final Reckoning, I believe last season was when they brought in the mercenaries.
Yeah, I mean,
but I could be wrong on that.
I'm interested to see where it goes. I want to know what they're going to do after this season.
So do I get to say my big...
I guess you've never brought it up yet.
My big revelational revolution.
Hit us with it.
Revelation.
That's the last of my notes for the episode.
Okay, and then we can throw out our bands we're wanting people to check out.
We got to do our
Head Smashers
plug on that. But real quick, and I need
a moment of silence.
At least 60 seconds before I get anything from you guys.
Okay.
Tonight, and this is a big deal, right? This is a big deal for me, because I've been consistent on my disappointment in this person's attitude, approach to Final Reckoning so far. I made a turn on Cara tonight.
Can we talk?
No. Dramatic effect.
It's only been 30 seconds so far.
I made a turn on Cara tonight because I started thinking to myself, I've always said people act the way they do for a reason. It's not just because, all right? There's a reason behind it. Whether it's something from their past, some current situation, there's a reason behind why they act the way they do. This girl's in love. She's in love, and she's acting irrational because she is in love.
With who?
Kyle, look, real quick, I know it was put up on social media, her and Paulie are in cahoots, but let me tell you something. She is in love, and he is in love, but they're both handling it in very different ways. They're handling it poorly, but in different ways, poorly. Here's the thing. My 60 seconds are probably up, but let me say something real quick. Cara was real this episode for the first time. It wasn't about getting, I know not a burn vote for her, but the vote was put in for Brad and Kyle. But prior to that, in between the vote and the little, I don't know if you call it backstabbing that Kyle and Brad did, just throwing them in, removing the lifeline, the rope from the challenge. For the first time in Final Reckoning, she was very upfront about her feelings for Kyle.
When? Like when she was in the room with Faith?
No,
when she was
when they were
sitting
together.
with Kyle.
during the lap sitting segment of the show.
That's right, because she told him that she wants to hate him.
Yeah.
She didn't say, I hate you. She said, I want to hate you. Let me hate you.
And even during the Faith segment, when you watch her start crying, that is love she has for this man, because
she's watching him with someone else.
She's watching him when she wants to be with him, so she can say all the things about how she wants to hate him, and she's upset with him, tired of him, whatever, and wanting to get him out of the house, all this stuff. She loves that man.
I agree. She absolutely has feelings.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And so people can act irrational when they are in love.
Yeah,
they can.
They can.
And what she's doing right now is she's being irrational because she's in love. And so I get she's 32, but I don't think you ever reach an age where when you're in love that you're not willing to act a little irrational.
Any type of way.
So my take on that, I agree she has feelings for him, he has feelings for her. That's where all this is stemming from, clearly.
But it's not just feelings.
Okay, maybe they love each other. I'm not going to go that far on it.
I went that far.
Okay, so my perspective on it is, if she does feel that way, she is doing everything she can to screw it up, which she has a history of bad relationships, apparently. She's flaunting it with Polly, going after someone who is in a committed relationship at that point. You know, she can say whatever she wants about, you know, trying to be a role model, and if she has feelings for Kyle, whatever, she is...
The role model thing was silly.
Yeah, she's single-handedly trying to get with someone, and did hook up with someone that had a committed relationship back home. She's like, oh, who cares? You're here. It doesn't matter.
So
I have some words to put in now, because I am a woman.
Here we go.
And I have another perspective
that
you guys are not going to see because you're men.
Oh, gosh.
Jake, I agree with you. I do think that she is irrationally in love.
Yeah.
I will say, to make my point, the only other real committed relationship that she's been in that we've seen in the last several years has been on the challenge. It's been with Abe.
Yeah.
And he was a psychopath. And she, I feel like, had like bipolar disorder. And it may not be that. It was just, we're currently going through X's one, and they are a roller coaster to watch.
Yeah, they were exes, but
within like a 5-minute time span of the last episode that we watched, they were at the club and they're sitting on the couch together, and he's looking at her and he's like, you look really happy. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, your eyes are really sparkly and pretty when you're happy, and that's what they look like now. And she's like, I want you to move in with me when we leave here.
Yeah,
he says yes.
She asked him to move to Montana. I don't know if he lived at that point there.
But he asked her, or she asked him to move in with her so that they could live together. And he said yes in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And then in his confessional, immediately after that, he says, I love her with my whole heart. I will do anything for her. I'm so excited. And you could see like the glee in his eye. 2 seconds later.
Which is probably later.
Yeah, but it's later, and she's like, in a year. Yeah. I'm not ready for it. I don't know. And it was very flip-floppy to me. Like she was happy that in that moment she's like, yeah, let's do it. And then it's like they hit
she's
the dip.
Herself.
They hit the dip in the roller coaster, and she changed her mind. And so for me, I feel like that's the only like real long-term committed relationship that she's been in. So she doesn't know how else to respond to stuff. I do think that she is irrationally in love with Kyle, because it seems like she's unraveling on national television.
She's definitely in a weird state this season.
It's kind of frustrating and annoying and weird and almost heartbreaking to watch because it's really sad. I would be heartbroken if I dated someone for a long time, and I think it was the first episode Kyle admitted that they were together, and then he left the country to go travel with his friend. 2 months, didn't even call her, message her, fell off the face of the earth, and has not tried to reach out to her since until they run into each other on the new season.
No.
And I'm like, that is so stupid. He wronged her. So, of course, she's going to be upset. Of course, she's going to be mad. She's going to take it out on him. She's going to want to make him hurt the way that she hurt.
So,
let me. Just give me.
Jake had his hand up first.
I did. Yes. Okay. So everything she just said just strengthened my point because what we know Cara as prior to this season is almost a sympathetic figure, especially the earlier seasons. Because
she's not the same person.
She's not. She's not. But she is acting in a way we're not accustomed to seeing her.
Yes, 100%. This season's very strange.
It's almost like she's a chameleon.
And so
emotionally.
Everything happening right now, it all began when Kyle just disappeared, right? And so this girl's in love, and I've turned on her because I'm willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. The problem is there's nobody there because you always need somebody to kind of lean on, right? To kind of help point you back in the right direction, and there's nobody there.
Okay, so
I mean,
and
she has Marie.
It's not Polly.
But here's my thing on it. I agree. Kyle screwed that up. I agree. They both are dumb.
It's on him. I don't know. Because
but she's not.
No, she's not
guilty as well.
She's not free of guilt. She's destroyed a relationship.
They both are doing things to not make this work for each other.
I feel like they want it to work, but they don't know how to do it, and so they're doing the opposite of what they should be doing.
Yeah, then they both get upset with each other for doing the destructive patterns that are causing each other to not like each other. It's a lot of each other's.
And for me, Cara and Abe was a toxic, destructive relationship. It was not good. Looking at Abe,
you could tell going back to exes, he really cared for her.
He did
back then,
absolutely.
At least.
You can see it.
But, just real quick, because he got to the point with her, he's like, you can't make up your mind, and he's like, I can't. He's like, I know you're gonna flip-flop back and forth on this. It's gonna cause a lot of problems, and so he's like, I don't want to break up with you, but at this point, we're gonna have to.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at Abe now, he's clearly happy.
Seems that way
in life. So, but the two of them together was not good. However, Cara and Kyle seemed like two peas in a pod. Last season, they looked like they were perfect, like a perfect match.
Okay.
Because they're so similar, but he's kind of a piece of crap, and she.
Ooh, there it is. She said it. She said it.
He is.
Say what's on your heart.
He is, but she is acting very childish, and it's very hard to watch.
So then what do you two... I am not disagreeing. I think she 100% has feelings for him. I think he has feelings for her. I think they're both being very dumb. I think they're both wanting to play the little like middle school role of...
I feel like she's dating Polly now, and she is putting it all over every social media platform that she can find to try to make him see it, to try to make him feel bad about it. But I don't feel like she cares about Polly.
So I
feel like it's just a void that she's trying to fill.
That's what I was going to ask, is like, if you guys are so, dead set on this is, and I agree, there's chemistry there between them, even if they wanted to deny it. At the same point, she is still with Polly, and they have this weird,
like, to this day.
Yeah, they have this very weird physical relationship, but they also say at the same time they're not, I want to say they say they're not exclusive to each other.
I don't understand that.
They're a very strange couple. If that's your perspective, what do you make of this?
From what I've heard from many Instagram followers and fans of the show and of Cara and people that know him from Big Brother, people say Polly's a piece of crap too.
They said that before he even came on the show.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I feel like Polly just wants to have a good time. Cara is not hard on the eyes. And so he's like, okay, she is looking for something to make her feel something.
You think this is publicity?
What have we
him?
What have we said about these Big Brother people especially.
They want camera time.
They want fame.
Who's one of the bigger names on the challenge?
Cara.
Cara.
Cara's the biggest girl name for sure.
But she's been MTV's The Challenge Instagram page. She's been their like profile picture on and off for years.
She is the face of the females for the show. I mean, she just is.
Yeah.
And she does them more consistently than anyone else. She's won more than anyone else.
Yeah. And honestly, now that Johnny has his own weird TV show, he's kind of, yes, he's still dominating the challenge, but we haven't seen much of him in the last several episodes of this season.
He's just been in the background.
He's been in the background.
This season's weird. This season is not.
But I would say right now, Cara is the challenge. She's the face of the challenge right now.
That's fine. At the same time, I will say this season, she seems to be a completely different person. This may be her Brad season like we saw last year, where it's like, I could see that. I gotta have a weird
I'm
rebound.
Hurting, I'm hurting. I'm gonna look for any outlet I can get.
Because Brad seems to be coming back around to the way we used to know him. Doesn't
sane Brad.
Yeah, and so again, Cara may be in a real dark area. Who knows? I will say, I'm not turning the corner on her yet because she's been so hypocritical in her stances. Who cares? She may be in love. That is not a reason to get so upset over the dumbest things.
Yeah.
No, but love will make people do some real crazy
That's
stuff.
fine, but she might stab somebody because she's in love. Are you going to condone that?
I think a lot of...
You just said you took to turn the corner on it.
I think a lot of her followers and her fan base, if she stabbed somebody, they would still support her.
She has a very vocal fan base.
I do not support physical violence.
Okay.
I will say with Cara, I have not turned the page on her. I've not turned the corner on her. I know you think the whole role model thing was dumb.
Jake does too.
I think she was serious when she said that she tries to be a role model to little girls or to just younger women in general, because she is the strongest female athlete.
I think that's what she meant, honestly.
Yeah, I think she's the strongest female athlete to ever be on the challenge. She has a huge platform. I think she is trying to set the example that you don't have to look a certain way. You can be strong and build your body up and stuff like that, and still be beautiful in your own skin, because she's like ripped everywhere.
I think that's her thing. She's trying to show that you can be feminine but still be strong, not have to be trampled on.
And that's great. I fully support that. But again, if you're going to be any kind of role model, even if she's just trying to show other women that you can do stuff like this, you also have to take into account your character and the way you react to certain things. So when she is personally and emotionally behaving the way that she has been, she's not being a good role model. I think she needs to take that into account and kind of reflect.
I've turned on her.
I'm not. No way. I'm not. There's no way you can't say that. I mean, you can if you want.
I did say it. I said it.
It's irrational at this point to say you've turned on her, to me, because she is irrational. She's acting this way this week, and I agree there's feelings there. Again, we can get into this. We could go on a long time about it.
I'm tired of talking about it.
I am too. So, listen, let's get into it. Who did you have smashing heads tonight?
Smashing heads tonight. I gotta give it to the girl representing America right now, and the challenge is Faith. I think she took a stand for America.
We're back on this.
In a strong way, and I'm with her. Veteran Faith smashed heads tonight.
Okay.
Not at all who I had.
Not who I had either.
I had the opposite. I had Sylvia.
She did good tonight.
Out of all of the teams that competed in the daily challenge today, only 3 teams made it all the way across and completed the challenge. Mm-hmm. Sylvia was one of those teams. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal.
Speaking of, I'm glad you said her name, because we've been asking nonstop, what do you do? Walk the tightrope. That's what Sylvia does. She walks the tightrope.
They did good tonight.
It was good.
She did a great job. I'm really proud of her. I think, she's looked at as one of the weaker competitors on the challenge. People don't really take her as a threat. But with her teamed up with Joss, it's like 50-50. They could do really well or they could do really poorly. But I think it was a really big deal that she and Joss were one of the 3 teams that actually completed the challenge today.
If you give her a tightrope, it's game over.
Well, okay. So speaking on that, I went with Zach and Amanda for mine. Again, I don't want.
You can only pick one person.
Ooh.
Remember, you
got her on that. She's
you
right.
got me on that for boys' night.
You embarrassed her on this podcast over that very thing.
Let me think about it.
Set it right.
Then I'll go with Zach because I like him more.
There you go.
I would have gone with Zach just because of what Amanda said right before they competed, where she's like, "I'm really glad that Jenna's gone because now now we can bond and get closer." And Zach goes, "I am not glad that Jenna's gone. I wish she was still here. I miss her very much." And then they competed and completed it.
So again, I'd go with Zach. They won. I mean, they went faster than everyone. They beat Josh and Sylvia head to head.
They did. They did really well.
For mine, who got their head smashed, we'll go reverse order this time. Derek H. Who's Derek Henry, which is not from the Titans,
Derek.
but
who would do a better job than this Derek?
Yeah, this Derek.
Crazy eyes.
He's not
Derek.
good. He's not good at these challenges. He might be great at football or baseball or whatever else. He may be an athlete. He's not good at this. One of the best players of all time, Johnny Bananas, may suck at sports, but he's good at these.
Right.
Derek's not good at these. That's all it is.
Yeah.
He fell off immediately. He's not shown anything good. He continues to suck. Derek Sucks 2.0 was in my notes.
No, that's exactly who I wrote down. And I would much rather see our Derrick Henry, running back of the Tennessee Titans, partnered with Torrey. I think it'd be a deadly team, and I think maybe I'm wrong.
I think he could wear Torrey as a backpack and still win everything.
So, Derek H. just continues to get his head smashed.
I also wrote Derek.
It's unanimous because it's so obvious.
Yeah, but also I wrote down another name just in case somebody else said it because I figured you guys would say Derek. I wrote down Cara Maria because she is emotionally constantly 24 hours a day since she walked in the house. She has gotten her head and her heart smashed.
I've spoke my piece on that. I've said what I needed to say.
That's fine. Again, we could talk for forever about them.
We can, but we don't want to.
I know we're already going long, so that's. Are
we going long? This is pretty standard.
What's your high school album of the week?
That's a good stopping point. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, you want me to go
first? I'll go first if you want.
I have mine written down.
I feel like I go first every week.
Okay,
Let me go last this week.
Zach.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Bear vs. Shark and the album Terror Hawk. I could have went with Right Now You're in the Best of Hands, but Terror Hawk was the one that got me into Bear vs. Shark. It's Terror Hawk. Can't talk like you now. It's all one word.
You got Christmas music on the brain.
No.
I do. I absolutely have Christmas music on the brain.
Again, that album got me into the band. That was my name on Instagram and other stuff. And then they got back together after not being together since like 2006. So
it ruined all of our early Instagram pictures together because it was before you could tag people in the picture. You had to actually write their handle name in the caption, and so all of my stuff just says Bear versus Shark.
You just love the band, so yeah. I gave it up for them when they got back together. I told them I'd give it to them, and they sent me a reprint of both their albums back to back. So I appreciate it. Big fan.
It was really nice.
We were supposed to go see him in like 2006 at one point, and we were like, "Oh, we'll go see him next time" because they were in Memphis. And then they broke up like 2 weeks later.
That's
not
what you
quite,
get.
But again, that's mine. Love that album. Love that band. Could have went a bunch of different directions, but we got a lot of episodes left. So.
Yeah,
that's right.
Mine is "Sinners Never Sleep" by You Me at 6. I really absolutely loved that band. I was obsessed with that band.
I don't know.
I almost
you
said...
You could play me a million songs, and I couldn't tell you which one was them. Because I just don't know them.
I love all of their albums, but Sinners Never Sleep was probably the best album out of all of them that I listened to top to bottom without skipping.
I'm going to go Creed, Human Clay.
That was not why you were in high school.
No, my parents...
That was not...
My parents...
That was like 1998.
My parents had that on CD in our house when we lived in East Tennessee.
That was 100% in the 90s.
I grew up... I was like 6 when I found that CD, and I was like, ooh, what is this? Because I thought the the album cover was really weird.
Pick another one. That doesn't even count.
The one I did pick is actually from '98. I was 8 years old. I'm cheating a little bit this week.
Yeah.
High school album of the week.
I listened to it in high school too, and I just started listening to it again yesterday because I forgot how good it was. Now I'm gonna say this band, and it's not gonna sit well with a lot of people.
Jake, spit it out.
Skillet. Hey you, I love your soul.
So,
this is
what?
nothing.
I know where you're going with this. It's nothing like what the band is these days.
Nothing. Yeah. It's got that 90s sound to it, and I have not met one person that doesn't like 90s rock.
I could introduce you to a lot of people that don't like 90s rock.
They are wrong.
That's our first question when it comes to friendships.
Do you like 90s music?
Yeah.
No, not 90s music, 90s rock.
So here's the thing. I'll give you, they are not the same band. Like,
no.
The band that is, I mean, it's the same people, but they were a completely different sound back in the 90s.
Hey You, I Love Your Soul by Skillet. That whole album is...
I'm not going to say it's good, but whatever.
It's so much fun to listen to, though. I'm actually going to be... That's the first thing I'm going to crank on the way down to Florida.
Guys, I hope you're ready for it.
So, yeah.
All thumbs
up. Be sure to
up.
do that. So,
well,
that's mine.
If we're going 98, I'm going to go with some MXPX CD from...
That's fine.
Teenage Politics or... Slowly Going the Way of the Buffalo or something like that.
If we're going 98, then I'm going to pick like Backstreet Boys.
Cool. Hey, by the way,
here we go.
If anyone out there is listening and you actually go and listen to any of these bands,
let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think, because we've been throwing it out there. We haven't got any feedback. We may be doing this every week for no reason, but if you listen to it, you may hate it. Some of these bands that we've thrown out, you might hate for real.
You did go back, I think last week. The album that you said the week before, you were like, I went back and listened to it. It is not good. It does not hold up.
No.
I remember you saying that.
No, we talked about some other bands from that era. The ones, any of them that I've recommended, top to bottom, solid.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember you had mentioned one the week before, and last week you're like, it really doesn't hold up.
We were specifically talking about some bands in that era did not hold up at all. He said he doesn't like Blood Brothers. I still love the Blood Brothers.
Number 12 Looks Like You.
Yeah, again,
Heavy, Low, Low.
We said those bands don't really hold up to like when we were in that era. Any of the albums I've recommended, still to this day, listen to top to bottom, no issues.
Same for me.
So
I listen to Paramore every single day, every time I get in the car.
You haven't listened to them today.
No, I haven't.
Told you.
Well, that's because you wanted to play Wes's interview today.
So. Anyway, let's hit our plugs real quick. You know what they are. At Smashing Heads PC on Twitter. At Smashing Heads.
PC stands for pretty cute.
True. At Smashing Heads Podcast on Instagram. Same on Facebook. Smashing Heads Podcast at gmail.com for emails. Again, we love emails. And then
we really love emails.
Podbean website, iTunes, you know what to do. We still love getting reviews and all that.
And Zach has canceled his Zynga blog.
I did, yeah.
Spot, so that is no more.
Yeah, I deleted it.
Yeah.
It was too hard to spell.
Yeah. No one could get the URL
Your
right.
mistake.
Maybe, we'll see. So yeah, anything else we need to hit real quick? If you haven't listened to Brandon's interview, go back, listen to it. It's great. He was awesome.
Be on the lookout on our social media. We'll post whenever we get the interview put up with Marie.
Should be Saturday, about the same time we put up the Brandon
Hopefully
interview.
Saturday evening, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to go enjoy the beach now.
Cool.
While you guys sit at home like a bunch of rejects.
Speaking of the beach, where are you guys going?
Panama City. The great
I will say
Panama City.
Tony Time, he and his fiance Alyssa, they were just at Orange Beach the other day.
Maybe we can reach out to him. I'd hang out with Tony.
I don't know how to get in touch with him.
You got in touch with Brandon. You got in touch with Marie. Work your magic.
That is true. Yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe he'll run into him on the road.
Yeah.
You should wreck your car into his car so you guys have to meet and exchange numbers.
If that's what it takes.
Good plan. sound like something Cara would do.
I'm gonna wreck Tony's car and take Nelson out to eat.
Cool.
And then we're going to go to a Grizzlies game with Brandon.
That's true. We are planning on doing that. So, again, we got to get out of here. It's going to be an hour and a half. It's going to be a long episode. But go back, listen to everything you haven't so far. Be on the lookout for an episode with Marie. If you got any questions, drop them at our social media links. Or
before Thursday.
We're recording Thursday evening. So, get them in while you can. And we will see you Thursday.
Brother, say it with me. Have a good night, everyone. Oh, you butchered it.
They didn't know what to say.
Come on.
I didn't know what you said. I was going to say, see you later.
Be quiet. This is the worst end ever.